Our next reader is Laura Theis. Laura is the recipient of the 2017 AM Heath Prize. She was nominated for the Tassilo Award twice and was Artist in Residence at Phoenix Theatre, Antwerp. Her short stories, songs, radio plays and poetry have been broadcast and published in the UK, Germany and the US. Her new work is forthcoming in Strange Horizons, Dime Show Review, About Place Journal, Three Drops Press and Enchanted Conversations.
So this is a poem called Medusa. Do not lose faith on the day you wake up with spiders instead of hair. Do not cry as you look in the mirror. Remember, they may stay, they may not. They are here for now. If you must take pains to cover your head, hide their crawling under your most elegant hat, lest people recoil from you in the streets, or don't. Remember Medusa and her snakes. She'd turn anyone to stone if they looked at her frightened. She was a monster and proud, all hiss, curse and scorn, danger. And yet to think someone must have loved her enough to name half of all jellyfish, those moon-glowing blooms of floating fluorescent umbrellas and bells, after her. The next poem is called Storm Petrel, and a couple of poets were asked to pick an object from the Pitt Rivers Museum and then write poems about them and perform them in the museum. And the object I picked was a little bird that had been turned into a candle by sailors. And that's Storm Petrel. Pitt Rivers Museum, case 29A. Oh, take your pity elsewhere, landlocked stranger. I am still waiting to burn. Yes, I was the sole bird of a dozen drowned sailors, was wave walker, weather vane, Black Mary's chiclet, harbinger of stormy seas, pelagic stowaway. They feared me, called me Satanita, water witch. I was meant to end at the hand of men who know that one tarred string is enough to tell the bird from the candle, the witch from the flame. But take your sad eyes elsewhere, stranger, listen. One day, the storm will find me, and I'll blaze. The next one is called An Unexpected Fondness. And I wrote it for the course where we had to write a poem about unexpectedness. So that's what I came up with. I am in your house, the one I always envied you for. All that space, so much space, flooded with light, and so clean. Blue shutters on the windows, and that apple tree with a tiny wood bench. The gardening gloves, the barbecue, the blender, the BMW, the KitchenAid with the pasta extension. Everything exists twice. One in full size and one in miniature for the kids. And now it is late. So late it is early, yet I am not sleeping. I am stuffing my face with the muesli you keep in a glass jar with a small silver shovel like they do in magazines. Maybe I cannot sleep because somehow this house is filled with all of your waking nights, your quiet, smiling fights, your infinite patience with the sorrow, the horror you never speak of. Maybe I'm making this up. Maybe that was just me being hungry. But upon returning to my own shoebox room that contains nothing worth more than a $5, a year's worth of dust and some mold, I surprise myself by suddenly loving it. And this is a poem called The Color of the Witch. I have yet to see an ugly tree. It is not even your line, but he smiles, lips curled around his silence as they sometimes curve around his vowels. You can tell even though he is walking ahead, because he's holding your hand. Stay away from the boy, they'd said. We hear that emerald's his favorite color. Keep away from the boy, they'd said, for willows are his favorite trees. And it is true that his words are like falling through forest floor, his voice like the soft ground you wish to be buried in. Other men have tried to gain your heart with cash or song or poetry. All it took for him to break you was what? One glance through his colorless lashes, one shrug, half a name. Stay away from the boy, they'd said. Emerald's his favorite color. Keep away from the boy, they'd said, for willows are his favorite trees. And it is true that after the first time he kissed you, he left you alone in a clearing, and when he stood there, fist raised against the sky, a sparrowhawk shot down to land on your hand, gave you a long, inscrutable stare, then flew off again. Your mother noticed you shaking at dinner that night. Stay away from the boy, they'd said. Emerald's his favorite color. Keep away from the boy, they'd said. Willows are his favorite trees. And it is true that all night grows heavier, darker around him, the wind louder, its song more pronounced, and that after the first time he murmured, I love you, and left you half naked and giddy behind the woodshed, you found you were suddenly able to dictate the movements of clouds with your mind. Stay away from the boy, they'd said. Emerald's his favorite color. Keep away from the boy, they'd said. Willows are his favorite trees. And while their warning words are nothing to you, it is also true that his beautiful fingers are curled around the seeds of all sorrow, all sadness, all pain, not just yours or his, everyone's. He might plant a new seedling every once in a while, but for now, he's only walking ahead. For now, he's holding your hand. Okay, and I have a really little one for the last one. It's called What They Left Behind. I returned to find a dirty sock, 2 coffee rings on the table, a pair of snow lilies sweltering on the windowsill, an orange peel by the sink, and so many biscuit crumbs in my bed that I almost fancy myself inside a sand-plagued seaside cottage and start to dream of ocean spray. Thank you.